So nobody wants to talk about it, but here's the truth. Not everyone makes it through OCS. Some people get recycled and some people get dropped. Here's what you should expect if that happens to you. So I'm gonna go into top reasons of why people get, you know, either recycled or dropped from the course, right? So as many people probably already know, that land navigation is definitely one of those things that will get you recycled, right? And possibly even dropped if you got recycled a certain amount of times and you still wasn't, you know, passing the course. You can get dropped, like booted out. So I have my notes here like always, and I don't want to miss any important information, so I'm going to be referencing to my notes. So top reasons that people fail. It can be failure to meet leadership standards. It can be injuries. That is a big one. It can be academic failure. That can include like the exams, that can be the field exercises, that can be the ruck march, that can be anything like land navigation, the history exam. Oh my God, that is another one. The history exam and peer evals. Peer evals. So let's talk about what recycling is and what being dropped is. I know it's self-explanatory, but I just want to go over it because I want to elaborate more into like your options, right? So if you're recycled, two things can happen. That means that you have to restart the entire course from day one, or sometimes in some cases you will just pick up where you left off, right? That wasn't my case at all, but yeah, it is possible to, you know, pick up where you left off, right? And getting dropped from the course, it's not just always like, okay, you're booted out and that's it. Now, some people, depending on what the reason is, if you get dropped from the course, it just means that you can come back and apply at a later time, right? Just depends on your circumstances, right? And your packet. So some people can I think they can come back in 6 or 12 months, somewhere like that. And some people get dropped where that's it, you can never come back, like no more, right? So if you are dropped from the course and you had the option to come back, you can either just go back and enlist it. Of course, you'll go back and enlist it into the reserves, or depending on your contract. Like, let's just use me for example. Let's say if I would have got dropped from the course, right? Coming in, I signed an enlisted contract. That just means if I don't make it as an officer, I have the option. I would have to go back as a E5, enlisted E5. I would have to go back on, I believe, active duty, because I signed an active duty contract. Or I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me, but I think I'll have to do the active duty, or I can go back as a reservist. Not sure. That just depends too. So that's something to think about. Or you have the option to go warrant officer. You know, I've seen people, I heard of people who done this. Like they will, they'll go back as an enlisted. Of course, you may have to wait a certain amount of time. I think a year or two or something like that. And then you can drop in a packet to do warrant officer. However, warrant officer, you still, let's say if you got dropped out of the course because you just couldn't pass land nav, warrant officers do land nav. So there's no getting out of that, like out of land nav. Eventually you're gonna have to do it, but that just gives you more time to sharpen up your skills, right? Or let's say you got dropped because of, you know, bad behavior or whatever the case may be. I think in that case, yeah, that's it. You can't come back. So pretty much in summary, you'll either go back to active duty, reserves, or just getting separated altogether if you get dropped from the course. So I want to give you guys some tips to try to avoid either one of those, right? Like I said in previous videos, before you come to OCS, you want to make sure that you are preparing not only mentally, because you definitely got to prepare mentally, but you also want to prepare physically. Make sure you can do that 4-mile run. Make sure you can do the 2-mile run. Make sure you know how to pass the ACFT. You know, make sure you understand the basics of land navigation at least. Now, if you're prior service, you really shouldn't have much issues with that. But like me, you know, I wasn't prior service Army. I was prior service Navy. So that was completely new to me. And in basic training, land nav was a complete joke. It just wasn't the same. So you want to make sure, to the best of your knowledge, you try to sharpen your skills and you understand, you know, what you're learning there at OCS. Ask questions. Do not be afraid to speak up, right? So pretty much to avoid any of those things is to pass everything. You want to pass everything, and you want to try to get through those peer evals. Like, yeah, you want to make sure you stay professional. You want to make sure that you're a team player. All those things. I made a whole video about peer evals. So like I said, if it happens, is not in every case, is not always the end of the world. Like, you can, there's other options for you if you end up getting, you know, dropped from the course. Just depending on your situation. I'm gonna say that again. Depending on your situation. Getting recycled is not the end of the world. I've had people tell me, I don't know how you did it. How you get recycled twice, yet along once? I would have quit. Like, for what? Why did I go through all of this, putting in my packet, the long wait time? I knew my goal. I knew what I was trying to achieve, so why would I quit? Not on my own terms. The only way that I would not achieve that butter bar is if they booted me out on their own. They forced me out. But me just quitting was not an option. Absolutely not. And I don't recommend you quit just because you're getting recycled. It's not the end of the world. You're going to be there longer, yes, but the pro to that is you'll be getting paid active duty. If you're a reservist, you'll be getting paid longer on active duty. If you're not, if you're already active duty, I don't know, I guess you get paid more depending on your rank. But it's still not the end of the world. Like, if this is something you really want and you're really serious about, nothing's going to make you quit. Nothing's going to make you quit. Like, as long as I had an option to stay, I was staying until I got what I came there for. And I suggest you guys do the same thing if you're ever in that situation. Quitting is not an option. No. You're a leader. Don't quit. You want to set the example for people, right? You're a leader. Leaders don't quit. Not if this is something you really want to do. You're just showing that, okay, as soon as something bad happens, or as soon as something don't go my way, I'm just throwing in the towel. No, that doesn't look good as a leader. You know, you want to be resilient. You want to be resilient and keep pushing through. So yeah, being recycled does not mean it's over unless you quit. So I hope this video has helped you guys out. I hope it was, you know, valuable. I hope you got something from this video. And like always, I will see you guys in my next video.